A single Chinese aircraft just rolled out that can unleash over 100 attack drones mid-flight. It's not science fiction anymore. The mothership is real, and it's about to fly. By the end of June this year, something unprecedented will lift off a runway in China. It's called the Gouqian, and military analysts who first laid eyes on the prototype last November didn't mince words. They called it an air monster. That's not just dramatic language. We're talking about a reconnaissance and strike drone with a maximum takeoff weight of 16 tons, an operational range stretching 7,000 kilometers, and a wingspan that reaches 25 meters across. To put that in perspective, that's wider than a commercial airliner's wing. This thing operates on a scale that makes most combat drones look like toys by comparison. But here's the thing. Size alone doesn't explain why defense experts around the world are paying such close attention. What makes the Gouqian potentially revolutionary is what it carries inside. Tucked into its enormous fuselage is a modular honeycomb mission bay, a cargo hold designed to carry more than 100 microdrones or cruise missiles at once. And these aren't just dumb projectiles. Each one can perform independent tasks. Media. Microdrones launching from Gouqian Bay and splitting off in flight, realistic render of microdrones in coordinated flight patterns, news footage of drone operators tracking multiple drones on screens, reconnaissance sweeps, electronic interference, air defense suppression, even coordinated penetration strikes. Or, and this is where it gets really interesting, they can function as a coordinated swarm, all controlled by the mothership cruising above. This isn't an upgrade to what already exists. It's a completely different way of thinking about air combat. Traditional drones, no matter how advanced, operate as individual units performing specific missions. The Gouqian? It functions like an airborne aircraft carrier, launching waves of smaller autonomous systems designed to overwhelm enemy defenses through sheer coordinated volume. Think about that for a second. The concept we've seen in blockbuster sci-fi films, motherships releasing swarms of attack craft that blot out the sky, has just been turned into operational military hardware, and it's flying this summer. From consumer gadgets to combat systems. To understand how China got here, you have to rewind about 2 decades and look at something that might seem totally unrelated: consumer drones. Over the past 20 years, China's civilian drone industry didn't just grow, it exploded. Today, Chinese manufacturers control roughly 70% of the global civilian drone market. Companies like DJI became household names, dominating everything from hobbyist photography to professional filmmaking, with products recognized worldwide for their innovation, reliability, and price. But the applications didn't stop at wedding videos and Instagram shots. Chinese drones are now used for logistics delivery, agricultural monitoring, infrastructure inspection, emergency rescue, and even massive coordinated light shows. What started as a niche gadget evolved into a mainstream industrial tool woven into dozens of industries. And here's where things start to connect. In April of last year, China pulled off something stunning during the 50th anniversary celebration of southern Vietnam's liberation in Ho Chi Minh City. They launched 10,500 drones simultaneously into the night sky. These drones formed the Vietnamese national flag, historical images, and scrolling messages symbolizing friendship between the two nations. The formations moved with cinematic precision, shifting and morphing like digital brushstrokes painted across the sky. It wasn't just a spectacle. It broke the Guinness World Record for the most drones flown at the same time. But forget the fireworks for a moment. What that event actually demonstrated was battlefield-level coordination technology disguised as entertainment. Think about what it takes to manage 10,000 flying objects at once. You need ultra-precise real-time positioning systems. You need automated collision avoidance algorithms running continuously. You need robust communication networks that don't drop signals. And you need a central command brain capable of choreographing it all without a hitch. Every single one of those capabilities transfers directly to military drone swarms. The same systems that coordinate a light show can coordinate an attack formation. The same algorithms that prevent drones from crashing into each other during a dance routine can manage tactical spacing during a strike mission. The same network that sends choreography commands can relay reconnaissance data or retarget weapons in real time. China didn't just build a successful consumer product. They built a dual-use technology pipeline that feeds straight into their military R&D. The evolution of China's military drones. Meanwhile, China's defense sector was advancing on parallel tracks. Take the WJ-8, for example, a supersonic stealth reconnaissance aircraft that looks like something out of a different era of aviation. It's compact, about 11 meters long, just over 2 meters tall, with a wingspan under 7 meters. The small profile reduces its radar signature dramatically. But what really sets it apart is the propulsion system. Instead of traditional jet engines, the WJ-8 uses rocket propulsion, pushing it to speeds between Mach 5 and Mach 8. That's faster than the legendary Soviet MiG-25 or the American SR-71 Blackbird, aircraft that once defined what fast meant in reconnaissance. Then there's the FH-97A, which debuted at the Zhuhai Air Show back in 2022 and immediately caught the attention of defense analysts worldwide, including outlets like U.S. Defense News, which suggested it could change traditional air combat rules. Unlike most drones, the FH-97A is designed to operate as a loyal wingman, flying alongside manned stealth fighters like the J-20 or J-35. It can handle air-to-air combat, strike ground targets, attack ships, and conduct electronic warfare. It's not just a drone, it's a force multiplier for crewed aircraft. But even with all that capability, the FH-97A is still playing by the old rules. It's a single platform doing multiple jobs. The Goshen? It's playing an entirely different game. What makes the Goshen different? Well, let's start with the name. In traditional Chinese thought, Goshen symbolizes the ideals of breaking through limits and conquering the skies. It's an aspirational name, and, honestly, the specs back it up. That 25-meter wingspan we mentioned earlier, it's actually longer than most heavy drones currently in active service anywhere in the world. Maximum takeoff weight hits 16 tons, and payload capacity, 6 tons. It can fly 7,000 kilometers without refueling, far enough to cross the entire Asian continent, and it operates at a ceiling of 15,000 meters, which is nearly the cruising altitude of a passenger jet. Now, if you compare that to the MQ-9 Reaper, which is one of the most capable combat drones in the U.S. arsenal, the Goshen really outperforms it across almost every parameter, at least on paper. But here's the thing, direct comparisons kind of miss the point entirely. The Goshen isn't just a bigger, longer-range version of a Reaper. It's not even trying to be. The entire design philosophy is fundamentally different. Inside that massive fuselage sits the honeycomb mission bay, a modular system unlike anything else flying today. It can carry over 100 micro-drones or cruise missiles, and each one of those subordinate systems can operate independently. Some perform reconnaissance, others jam enemy communications, some suppress air defenses, others penetrate hostile airspace and deliver strikes. But when they're coordinated under the mothership's command, something extraordinary happens. The Goshen can release hundreds of autonomous systems that behave like a living, thinking swarm, adjusting tactics in real time, saturating defenses from multiple angles, and creating so many simultaneous threats that enemy response systems simply can't keep up. This transforms the platform from a combat drone into something entirely new, an aerial drone carrier. It's not there to fight directly. It's there to deploy and coordinate a small, autonomous air force. Stealth, speed, and survivability. Now, a giant mothership launching swarms sounds impressive, but only if it can survive long enough to do its job. That's where the stealth technology comes in. The Goshen uses something called metamaterial skin, a cutting-edge material developed during China's Y-20 heavy transport aircraft program. This isn't just about making the aircraft lighter or stronger, though it does both of those things exceptionally well. What metamaterial skin really does is reduce radar reflection by up to 60% compared to traditional airframes. 60%. That brings the Goshen close to the threshold where it becomes functionally invisible to many radar systems, rendering a lot of air defense networks significantly less effective. Enemy forces might know something is out there, but tracking it, targeting it, and shooting it down becomes exponentially harder. The propulsion system is equally clever. It uses a hybrid turbofan jet engine that balances high speed with fuel efficiency. Cruising speed sits comfortably between 600 and 700 kilometers per hour, and with that 15,000-meter ceiling, the Goshen operates well above the effective range of most ground-based air defense systems. But even the best stealth and altitude won't help if the enemy can jam your communications and sever the connection between the mothership and its drones. That's a vulnerability that's plagued UAVs for years. Cut the signal, and the drone is either blind or dead in the sky. China's solution? Quantum encryption. The Goshen incorporates an independently developed quantum-encrypted communication module that keeps command transmission delay under 0.03 seconds, even in heavily jammed environments. Traditional jamming techniques that would cripple older drones are essentially useless here. So you've got a platform that's hard to see, hard to hit, and nearly impossible to blind. That's not just survivable. That's built for sustained operations in contested airspace, where the enemy is actively trying to kill you. Range, endurance, and strategic reach. Despite weighing 16 tons at max takeoff and stretching 25 meters wingtip to wingtip, the Goshen is anything but slow or clumsy. It uses hydrogen fuel propulsion, an advanced power technology that delivers 40% more range than traditional fuel systems at equivalent weight. The result? Extraordinary endurance. According to official Chinese data, the Gotian can cruise at 15,000 meters for 12 continuous hours, covering a maximum range of 7,000 kilometers at speeds up to 700 kilometers per hour. Let that sink in for a second. This aircraft could launch from a base inside China and fly directly across the Pacific Ocean to approach Hawaii without refueling. That's not tactical reach. That's not even operational reach. That's strategic reach. And the weapons loadout matches that ambition. The current configuration includes 8 mounting points that can carry a mix of munitions: PL-12A air-to-air missiles, TL-7 anti-ship missiles, TL-7 air-to-ground missiles, and TL-6 glide-guided bombs. In other words, this platform can conduct air superiority missions while simultaneously executing long-range bombing runs, blurring the lines between fighter, bomber, and strike aircraft. But it gets even more interesting when you consider how it might operate in coordination with naval assets. There's been speculation, backed by some U.S. military simulations, that if the Goshen operates alongside China's Type 076 amphibious assault ship, the combination could function as an aircraft carrier killer. According to these simulations, a Type 076 carrying just 3 Gotian UAVs could deliver enough firepower to inflict fatal damage on a medium-sized carrier strike group. And even if you trade a Gotian for an enemy warship in direct combat, the economics are staggering. The drone costs roughly 1/150th of what a modern warship is worth. That's a trade most militaries would take every single time. But as impressive as the direct combat capabilities are, they're not the real story here. The real story is what happens when the Goshen reaches its target area and that honeycomb bay slowly opens. Imagine this. Hundreds of micro-drones spill out like rain, dispersing rapidly into coordinated formations. Within seconds, the swarm organizes itself into specialized units, each with its own role. Wave 1. Electronic warfare drones activate jamming systems, flooding enemy radar installations with interference and blinding their detection networks. Wave 2. Cruise missiles loaded with explosive payloads swarm in from multiple vectors, launching suicide strikes against ships, radar stations, command centers, high-value targets that anchor the enemy's defensive grid. Wave 3 reconnaissance drones stay aloft, transmitting real-time intelligence back to the mothership and updating targeting data on the fly. It's not just an attack. It's a choreographed saturation operation designed to create more threats than the enemy can possibly respond to. And it's not theoretical. In 2024, during South China Sea exercises, China successfully simulated a saturation attack on an aircraft carrier formation using 200 microdrones. The test validated the concept, quantity, and coordination can overwhelm even the most sophisticated defenses. The modular design of the mission bay makes the platform even more versatile. In about 2 hours, you can swap out the honeycomb bay and missile racks for transport modules, turning the Goshen into a strategic airlift platform for frontline resupply or emergency rescue operations. Need to deliver ammunition, medical supplies, or communications equipment deep into contested territory? The Goshen can do it. You can also mount electronic warfare pods and directional infrared jammers, giving the platform the ability to suppress enemy radar signals and interfere with heat-seeking missiles. It's not just a weapons platform. It's a multi-role aerial command node that can shift functions depending on mission requirements. Right now, the fourth Goshen prototype has completed fuselage assembly and is undergoing final system installation and testing. The maiden flight is scheduled for late June. And people are watching. The War Zone, a well-respected American military analysis website, explicitly noted that the Goshen marks the arrival of the aerial carrier era, with influence comparable to how aircraft carriers transformed naval warfare a century ago. That comparison isn't hyperbole. Think about what aircraft carriers did. They revolutionized naval combat by projecting air power far beyond the range of surface guns. Fleets stopped being platforms for direct ship-to-ship engagements and became mobile air bases that could control vast expanses of ocean through aviation. The Goshen could do something similar for aerial warfare. Traditional air combat involves platforms engaging each other or ground targets directly. Even when aircraft coordinate, each one is still operating somewhat independently, conducting its own mission while staying in communication with teammates. The Goshen inverts that model. The mothership itself may never fire a shot. Instead, it deploys subordinate systems that do the fighting while the mothership coordinates, manages, and retreats to safety. This offers several huge advantages. First, the mothership, which is expensive, sophisticated, and carries all the critical command and control systems, operates at standoff distances, far from the teeth of enemy defenses. Second, the cheap, expendable drones and missiles take on the risk of penetrating hostile airspace. If they get shot down, the mothership survives and can deploy more assets. Third, enemy defenses face overwhelming numbers of threats, arriving simultaneously from different directions. Even advanced air defense systems have limits. Throw enough coordinated threats at them, and they saturate. This approach plays directly to China's industrial strengths. Chinese manufacturing excels at producing large quantities of moderately sophisticated hardware at low unit costs. Drone swarms leverage that advantage perfectly, overwhelming opponents through sheer coordinated volume rather than relying on individual platform superiority. It's a fundamentally different philosophy than American military aviation, which has long emphasized small numbers of extremely capable platforms like the F-22 and F-35 fighters. Those aircraft cost well over $100 million each and require extensive support infrastructure. Losing even one represents a significant capability loss. Chinese swarm tactics, by contrast, accept that individual drones are expendable. The goal isn't to preserve every unit, it's to achieve overwhelming effects through mass. Now, U.S. military planners have talked about drone swarm concepts for years. There have been experiments, demonstrations, research programs, but here's the problem. The American defense industry is dominated by large contractors producing expensive bespoke systems. That structure struggles to manufacture the thousands of inexpensive drones that true swarm tactics require. Add to that the hollowing out of American manufacturing capacity over the past few decades, and you've got a situation where China can produce thousands of drones while American industry struggles to manufacture even hundreds at competitive costs. The Gochin exemplifies this gap. It's an operational platform, not a concept study, not a limited prototype, designed around capabilities that U.S. forces have discussed but haven't fielded at comparable scale. The implications extend far beyond immediate military applications. If drone motherships prove effective in combat, they could fundamentally reshape how nations structure their air forces and allocate defense budgets. Instead of investing billions in small fleets of ultra-expensive manned aircraft, countries might shift resources toward mothership platforms that deploy large numbers of autonomous systems. This changes the economics of maintaining aerial combat power, and honestly, it changes the industrial requirements too. Nations without advanced aerospace industries capable of building fifth-generation stealth fighters could potentially acquire effective aerial combat capability through drone swarms. The technical barrier to manufacturing moderately capable drones is far lower than producing cutting-edge manned fighters. If mothership platforms become available on international markets, they could democratize access to sophisticated air power in ways traditional military aviation never did. China's experience with the Gochin also highlights something crucial. Leadership in civilian technology can translate directly into military advantages. The coordination systems, communication networks, manufacturing expertise, and AI algorithms developed for commercial drone applications transfer straight into military contexts. Countries that dominate civilian drone markets, which right now means China, overwhelmingly, possess the foundational technology for military drone leadership. This has massive implications for how nations think about technology competition and dual-use capabilities. Maintaining leadership in sectors like civilian drones, artificial intelligence, advanced materials, and communication networks directly affects military power in ways that weren't always obvious under previous paradigms. The Gochin also reflects China's approach to military innovation. Identify emerging technology domains, invest heavily, accept the risk of pursuing novel concepts, and move rapidly from prototype to operational system. This contrasts sharply with more conservative Western procurement processes that emphasize extensive testing, incremental improvements, and risk mitigation, approaches that often delay fielding new capabilities by years or even decades. Neither approach is inherently better. Conservative methods reduce the chance of fielding systems that fail to meet requirements or prove unreliable in real-world conditions. Rapid Chinese development accepts a higher risk of program failures in exchange for speed and a willingness to field immature technology that can be improved through operational experience. The Gochin's maiden flight in June will start to answer the question of whether this rapid development approach produced a functional platform or encountered the kinds of problems that slower, more cautious processes are designed to prevent. Initial flights will test basic aerodynamics and handling characteristics. Subsequent tests will validate the swarm deployment systems, communication networks, and coordination capabilities. Full operational capability, if it's achieved, likely remains years away. But even if the Gochin encounters developmental challenges, the concept has been validated, the platform will eventually mature. The question isn't whether aerial drone motherships will become operational. The question is how quickly they achieve reliable performance, and what tactical doctrines evolve around their use. For military forces around the world, the Gochin is a warning shot. Air combat paradigms are shifting. Strategies and technologies optimized for engaging manned aircraft or individual drones may prove completely inadequate against coordinated swarms deployed by motherships. Air defenses designed to intercept a limited number of high-value threats could be overwhelmed by saturation attacks. Electronic warfare systems must now contend with quantum-encrypted communications that resist traditional jamming. Nations face a choice: develop equivalent capabilities, devise effective countermeasures, or accept that adversaries with drone motherships will hold significant advantages in future conflicts. That reality is driving a technological arms race that will shape military aviation for decades to come. But the broader significance here is this: China, once dismissed as a nation that could only copy and produce inferior knockoffs of Western military hardware, is now fielding genuinely innovative systems that established military powers don't possess. The Goshen doesn't copy American or Russian designs. It represents an original concept realized through indigenous technology. This marks China's evolution from technology follower to potential leader in at least some military domains. Now, whether this translates into actual combat effectiveness remains untested. Military hardware that looks impressive in specifications and air show demonstrations sometimes disappoints when it faces real operational conditions. The Goshen must prove itself through extensive testing and eventually combat operations before definitive judgments about its effectiveness become possible. But the platform's very existence forces a reassessment of assumptions about Chinese military technology development. The pace of advancement, the willingness to pursue novel concepts, and the ability to integrate commercial technology with military applications, all of it suggests that China's defense industrial base has matured beyond what many Western analysts recognized. The aerial drone mothership concept may succeed spectacularly, or it may encounter insurmountable obstacles that ground the entire program. But China has already demonstrated something undeniable. It can conceive ambitious military technology programs, develop them rapidly, and field operational prototypes, capabilities that only the most advanced military powers possess. That reality will shape strategic calculations for years to come, regardless of whether the Goshen specifically proves successful.